Well, hey everybody, welcome to Midweek Live. It's the middle of the week, middle of the day. We're hoping that we're finding you having lunch or at your break or whatever that kind of looks like for you today, right now. Of course, if you're watching this later on, totally fine too. All along this conversation, we would love to hear from you. If you have comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, anything you want to share, we would love to hear from you. We're going to be talking today a lot about our NP Kids ministry, and really kind of talking a lot about just parenting and just how this whole year has been so difficult for families just in general, no matter what the dynamic is. It's just been hard. And so NP Kids have been so great at finding and equipping parents, and we really want to just kind of expose some of those and let people know about them in case they don't know, because they've done such a great job. And they've been so intentional about the ways that they're trying to hit things and angle things and stuff. So we want to let you guys know about that. We have Travis here. He's our kids pastor. Yeah, we're excited.
Hey, everybody.
Travis is a parent himself, with kids himself. And so if anybody knows what it means to walk through this time, man, you're experiencing it firsthand. It's not like you're on the sidelines. You're in the trenches with everybody, experiencing, kids being sent home from school, and then social learning, distance learning, and all of that. And so just to kind of kick us off, let us know a little bit about your family. You have 3 girls. Yeah?
I've got 3 girls. I love it. 8, 6, and 2. And
8,
so
6, and 2. Okay.
2 of them that are in school. So that's 3rd grade, kinder, and then 1 that's not in school. Mm-hmm. And so that really complicates the at-home school kind of dynamic and everything like that. But they're so much fun. They really are. So my wife and I, we've been married for a number of years, and we're so excited to have a full home. And I just say there is never a dull moment.
Oh,
never
I
a
bet.
dull moment.
I bet. With girls, have you had to play a lot of? Do they play with dolls? Is a lot of a lot of make believe, a lot of dress up. You ever dressed up? Had to be in a dress before?
My kids are very clear. Not because I've made these rules, but they're like, Dad, you're a boy. You don't wear dresses.
Oh, you don't get to.
You don't paint your nails. They're very clear on that.
You don't get to do those things.
Oh, such a bummer, right? So
that's great.
Anyway, so they're very girly girls.
Yeah.
They play dress up. They change their clothes 7 times every day.
Well, it doesn't get any better when we get older, by the way.
Oh my gosh, it's an awful lot of laundry, is what it is.
It's an awful lot of laundry.
Oh my goodness.
So
gracious.
tell me. I mean, you guys are a family that's been through this. The 2 girls last year got sent home from school.
Yeah.
And now distant learning starting to be. So tell me, what have been like the big pluses of this time? Maybe let's start off there, and then some of the harder moments being a family during this time.
The pluses have just been spending time together. I mean, honestly, getting to see your kids. Being able to have that influence in every aspect of their lives. It's being able to really see what's going on in their education and be very influential. I mean, a high point is, our middle daughter, Emma, she's in kinder. It's like, we taught her to read.
Yeah.
My wife and I were just reminiscing about how cool that is.
Wow.
Because for us, that seemed like such a mountain. It's like, man, there are teachers that are professionals.
Wow.
They know how to do to that. They know all the tricks and the nuances and the path to get them there. And the reality is, I mean, yes, we've got some tools at our fingertips that we're using, but we've taught her to read.
Yeah.
And so that's been really neat. It's been empowering to us. To realize we appreciate our teachers and what they do, because there's a big difference between our teachers and where we're at. Yet at the same time, I think for so long we've sold ourselves short of what we could do.
Yeah.
And so it's also good to know where the kids are at, where they're struggling, where their strengths are.
Yeah, you get firsthand experience kind of knowing that.
Absolutely. And some of those have been eye openers.
Yeah.
Some of those are, we kind of knew based upon, reports and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it's been neat to do that. It's also been neat to be able to just be together. And I mean, I'm working at home most of the time, and so it's neat. I take a break, and the kids are there, Daddy, they're
Yeah.
excited, and I get those little micro moments to encourage them. Gives my wife a little bit of a break too for some of those moments, and so it's been neat.
I loved the term you just used, micro moments.
Yeah.
I feel like those are ones that we have to kind of hold on to. In some respects, we have some unique opportunities to kind of just love uniquely on our kids while they're also learning. I mean, like we've never had
Yeah.
this like great hodgepodge of things happening at one time, and yet we do in these times. What have been the harder things?
The harder things have been just not having that space and that break. We all experience that, or at some point, like our kids just annoy us. I mean, there's just no other way to put it.
Yeah.
They do. They just drive us nuts.
Yeah.
Our patience get thin.
Yeah.
And so I find that the hardest thing that we deal with is, Scripture talks about not aggravating your kids.
Yeah.
But the reality is when we're tense, stressed, wound up, frustrated, it is so easy to aggravate our kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably been one of the hardest pieces, because that's the battle within me. And what feeds into that is that parent-child dynamic with teaching,
Yeah.
where kids, when they're relating with their teacher, is very different than mom and dad.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to complain and whine and say no to mom and dad, and that doesn't necessarily happen with the teacher in the same fashion, right? And so that really shortens our patience, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's just been the hardest, of trying to not be tired, not be exhausted, to be able to give our kids our best.
Have they handled like the social or the distant learning well?
Well, so they really struggled with that.
Okay.
So actually what we're doing now is we've got a homeschool set up that we're doing. And so Lisa mostly does that.
Yeah.
I get to teach maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I love to
Right.
be able to sit and teach with the girls. And honestly, it's been a lot of fun. And so we've been able to make that shift. And honestly, it's just because of our lifestyle and our stage.
Right.
Lisa's able to dedicate herself to doing
Right.
that for us.
Yep.
And so we did distance learning for the end of the school year last
Okay.
year. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
battle to get them on every day. And, it's like 10 minutes into the day, they're like, can I be done? And you're like, we've only just begun, And so it was tough to motivate kids and help keep them focused. And it's exhausting as a parent to not be on screen and, trying to do that, but trying to juggle what you've got going on.
Right.
One of the really hard things for us is that we have one that's not in school.
Right. Yeah.
And so
the
trying
two.
to take care of her while the other two are doing their schoolwork is quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge. And so
Does she want to learn like sisters?
she does. She wants to do her school.
Yeah.
I want to do my school.
Yeah.
And so at 2, there's a little bit that we do for sure.
Okay.
She does a lot of, while I'm working on stuff, she'll sit on my lap while I'm writing emails and doing correspondence. And so that's fun. Taking some small breaks to read to her or engage, and giving her some coloring stuff, and trying to just, again, take some of those small things. We're working on colors and, identifying and working on counting
Yeah.
and
Shapes and things like that.
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
That's great.
So
the top of this time, March happens, and basically, everything shuts down so fast. I think we're all going to have the story of like how
Right.
quickly everything
yeah.
just shut down. I mean, I don't know. I remember coming home and just hearing like, oh, okay, all the sports have stopped. Okay, that's
Right.
and then okay, Dyson's not practicing anymore. My youngest was graduating. That was his senior
Yes.
year, and it was like, okay, there's no more practices. Okay, and then before you know it, it's just we're cut. And so, NorthPointe as a church in a whole, we were great already online, just needing to like make some intentional shifts
Yeah.
there. But NP Kids, really, what did that look like? What did those
Yeah.
meetings early on look like? And
Yeah.
what were your focus that you're thinking like, okay, we need to equip parents
Yeah.
who are now home with their kids. What does that look like?
Yeah. That was in some ways really easy, but also really hard shift for us. The reality is taking our discipleship materials,
Yeah.
the things that we're teaching,
Yeah.
that's really easy to put online.
Yeah.
That's some of our curriculum, some of that we're doing some custom work with, but getting that online is not complicated. The challenge is what we do when we have kids present is so interactive and so highly relational, and none of that transfers to online. None of it.
Right.
And so it's been really kind of tough to figure that out and know what that looks like.
Right.
A lot of what we do doesn't scale nicely to online either, because these activities require groups. They require all these kids interacting together. And so we had to really rethink what that looks like, and then try to figure out, gosh, what do families want?
Yeah.
All of us, we want our kids to grow up in faith, and we want them to be further along in their faith than we are.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we want.
100%. Yeah.
But teaching that, and creating these things and gathering these resources and these hands-on materials and things like that, it's pretty tough. And so what we were able to do fairly easily is get our teaching videos, our Bible story videos, if you will, online.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy for kids to sit and watch and hear and learn. Normally what we do then is we spend 3 times as long reinforcing what that Bible story means to kids through crafts, through games, through discussion, through interaction. And so, again, trying to make that shift and figure out what we wanted to do or needed to do was quite difficult. I think the obvious was for our older kids going to some kind of Zoom type of stuff to interact.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And that is different, but works well as far as learning is concerned. Our original vision is like, hey, let's just give parents all of this stuff. But we saw is that like there's so much going on in life, it's overwhelming. Right? You're trying to do church, you're trying to get your kids' church, you're trying to have a day off, you're trying to do all of this stuff. And the challenge was turning a Sabbath day into a huge work day for parents.
Yeah.
And so we've been trying to shift and figure out, hey, what are those easy things that we can do for families that are at this point in play kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so that's where we've got our stuff where it's like, man, you can just press play and your kids can watch it. I mean, it's really valuable for you to sit and watch with them and talk and interact for sure.
It can be a part of the interactive that they're missing when they're here with.
Yes, absolutely. And those are the things that come up at lunch and dinner, and they're the teaching points when their behavior is a little funky. And we're not just trying to modify behavior, but we want their hearts to be in love with Jesus, right? And so we have these talking points that we can connect back to. So that's ideal. But at the very least, if your kids are sitting there watching it while you're sitting there watching church and you have no idea what's on there, it's still incredibly valuable for kids.
Right. And it doesn't take away from the value of it.
It doesn't. And so it's easy.
Yeah.
In fact, we launched some of our Zooms now that we've moved. We have for 3rd and 4th graders and 5th and 6th graders that happens on Sunday mornings at 11:15.
Oh, nice.
The idea is basically, you're going to your services.
Yeah.
If you will.
So like staff, our NorthPointe staff kind of get on those calls, those Zoom calls with the kids so they're able to interact. Yeah. That's fantastic.
So we play games, we show our Bible story, and then we talk through that. We have our interaction, our discussion, and get real practical, if you will.
Yeah. So a parent could ultimately go in, either come here at 9 o'clock or whatever, right, with the family, or they could be watching online at 9:30, and then they have an opportunity to actually let their kids kind of enjoy service and either be with them in it or.
Yeah. Most of our kids at this age, they're very independent.
Yeah.
And so you could tell that like mom and dad are,
Nearby.
on the side sometimes. But they're pretty independent of engaging. And honestly, the more time they spend there,
the more comfortable they feel.
Absolutely.
It just takes experiencing it, I'm sure. And now these kids they're going to be like Zoom pros or whatever. Or
they
like,
are.
Video call pros at this point because they've had to experience it so much.
Yeah.
Resources. So we've talked a little bit about some of these videos. These are on YouTube, yes? MP Kids has a YouTube site.
Yeah. So what we do is we send out our Bible story teaching, if you will, every week, and predominantly right now what we're doing, that's on YouTube.
Right.
It's accessible through our website. We send out an
Right.
email just reminding. It's all the same links,
Right.
basically.
Right.
You can subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Right.
and get reminders of that. That goes up usually on Friday, so it's ready for Sunday. My kids, they're up early. And honestly, sometimes we do church at like 6:15.
Yeah.
And we do their church first, and
Yeah.
then we come to service here at 9 o'clock,
o'clock.
when we can.
Yeah, and that's really cool too. That 9 o'clock service has been so unique in that we're seeing like families come. We were talking about the like throwing out blankets
Yeah.
and laying, sitting there
Yes.
on the grassy area and experiencing church in a way that like would have never been otherwise, right? Whole families together, listening to worship, worshiping, singing, and listening to a message together. And the weather's been, of course, really good these last
Right.
couple Sunday mornings. It's a little bit warmer early on, but they've been really unique and special times.
Yeah.
I really loved seeing like, I think I have a picture of like Jean sitting with one of her grandkids, that's, our founding pastor's wife, and just sitting with her grandkids and just enjoying that time together. It's so beautiful. It's so cool. Ben Cool and his wife had his kids the other day, and they were just sitting there with their toys, and there's something really cool about the way that looks.
Yeah.
And because what it is it's showing kids by their actions, by parents' actions, what
Right.
it looks like to worship.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When I think about raising kids, there's kind of two things that are going there, and we have these like specific, intentional, very tangible teaching moments.
Yeah.
And what we're doing with kids in our Sunday service type of stuff is that.
Right.
It's biblical teaching geared for them in
Right.
their language, very practical where they're at.
Right.
And that is good.
Yeah,
Right.
we
That's
need
a
that.
good foundation. There's a second aspect of things that is, what kids catch by watching and observing. And there's something to be said for this idea that we as a family, every week we go to, meaning on the screen or physically there, right? We're there, and our kids are observing us worshiping, praying, listening. They're hearing us as we're driving home and talking in the car about this message. See, what we're doing is we're showing them how to live life. And honestly, when we send our kids to our kids ministry, that's one of those things that they often miss out on.
Yeah.
They don't see what it looks like
Yeah.
for mom and dad. And so a lot of times I hear parents that are, we're fearful because it's like, oh, that's so boring for my kids. It's not interesting. My kids are all over the place. They want to be wild. But it's so good for them to be there and
Yeah.
to see us doing that.
Yeah.
So I bring,
Yeah.
my kids are coloring and they're drawing and everything like that. And to be honest with you, most weeks, if you're looking at them, you would have no clue that they're listening to the pastor teach.
Right.
You would have no clue.
Right.
But every single week, they've got some question about what was said in the sermon.
Yes.
We're talking about 6-year-olds,
Right.
that are paying attention to our adult messages.
Right.
And so I just say to families, man, don't discount
Yeah.
the value of just being together.
Yeah.
It lays this foundation for kids that they get to see. What is it like? It helps
Yeah.
them with their identity. What does it mean
Yeah.
to be a part of this community? What does it mean to be a part of the church? And they get to see that.
Yeah.
So there's great value in
I
that.
said there's twofold on that too. There's also people that are seeing that happen around them, families coming
Oh,
together.
absolutely.
And that's like a really good blessing, even
right.
for them to be seeing that. Families worshiping together or experiencing worship together. So, for as much as we want to be like, oh, my kids are kind of crazy.
Oh,
and,
man.
And have you, kids can be.
They can.
I think human beings kind of know, I
Right.
think adults know that. I think within reason, as long
Yeah.
as they're, not screaming at the top
Yep.
of their lungs or something.
Oh man, you got
You
it.
know,
We sit in the
yeah.
back because we know that kids are going to stand up and have to go to the bathroom
Yep.
and ask
Yep.
questions.
And they're going to ask with like
you know.
no volume control
Yeah.
whatsoever, right?
Right,
It's
yep.
going to be just a,
Yep.
I got to go to the
Totally.
bathroom. you
We've
know?
brought 2 coloring books, and sister has the one I want, so we're gonna have a little confrontation
we're,
right
we're
now.
We're going to have a problem with
that,
this. Yeah.
That stuff happens.
Yeah.
So we're trying to be wise about that of being in,
Yeah.
but also kind of
Right.
set back a little bit. It's
Right.
distracting for my wife and I.
Right.
Gosh, yeah, we would love to just sit and be completely isolated and be completely laser focused, but man, that's just not the season of life that God
Yeah.
has given us.
Yeah.
And my kids are my responsibility for raising them.
Yeah.
And that means some distractions. And
Yeah.
sometimes we
Yeah.
alternate,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But yes, gosh, if you've got kids and the reason that kids aren't coming out is because you're afraid they're going to be a distraction or they're going to
Right.
be crazy.
Right.
Well, bring something for them to play
Yeah.
with, you
Yeah.
know? Bring a
Or-
video
yeah.
game and turn it
Yeah.
on silent. Like,
That's absolutely. There's
Yeah.
also great opportunities for people to watch services online. We don't want to
Yes.
minimize the fact that,
Oh,
like, oh my
absolutely.
goodness, we have so many people that watch online. Honestly, we have more people
Yeah.
that watch online than
Right.
that come right now, which is
Yep.
totally understandable.
Yeah.
And so many of those people lie under being, they're immune compromised in some
Yes.
way,
Yes.
or they are essential workers. And to that we say, we cannot
Yes.
thank you enough for the way that you guys are working right now. That is, thank you, truly thank you for that. And so we know that with that aspect means they can't really, they're kind of
Yeah.
limited on the things that they can do.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be so very intentional about their experience online. Your experience online is so valuable to us. I know you'll oftentimes be a prayer pastor.
Yeah, I love it.
In the chat. I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do on Sunday. I love people's names dropping in the chat and them saying hi. I love people responding to fill-ins or things that pastors are saying or things that we're hearing in our worship experience. It really is a new way to do community. And
Right.
so I don't want to minimize the fact that there's so many options. We love that we can give you options, and we hope that you kind of understand the value of either of them.
Right.
There's no like right or wrong
Absolutely.
one. It's the one that works for your family best.
Yep.
I think you were mentioning to me before that some of those videos are also going to be available on our MP Kids Facebook page,
Yeah,
and
so
even Instagram.
Yep, we're starting that this weekend. We're just trying to make it easier for
Yeah,
everybody to
for sure.
access. It's the
Yeah.
same stuff, but yes, on Instagram, on our Facebook page and things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
We're gonna I'll drop in the links after this is over for our MP Kids
Yeah.
Facebook page
Great.
and the handle for Instagram MP Kids site as well, because we would love for you guys to follow that.
Yeah.
Those are great things to follow, to be equipped as a parent. You guys do some great stuff on there. You guys post all kinds of great things. You get a chance to see how kids' lives are getting touched. But yesterday we kicked off Kids Core. What was really excited about Kids Core, and I loved hearing about it too, was like, going into Kids Core, it was like, okay, we're going to put it out there, kind of hope for the best. It's been great hearing a lot of the stories of some of the kids that have gone through Kids Core. And living now a life, we're seeing them a little bit older. We saw like Seth and Megan and stuff like that, people that poured into them as well. And we had a great turnout for Kids Core.
We had an unbelievable turnout for Kids Core.
That's awesome.
We really did. We knew that COVID would limit that
Yeah.
pretty significantly
Yeah.
based upon everything else that we've been doing and trying to track what that has looked like. We've almost doubled our attendance from what we projected.
Wow.
And which is
amazing. Which
In
is
fact,
amazing.
currently right now we actually have it closed. We typically keep registration open for another month or so before we close it, but we've had to close it because we're full. We've got as many kids as we can take with the numbers of adults that we have.
Because the ratio has to be a
Right.
certain ratio.
Yep. And so I mean, if we have more adults that step up and say, "Hey, I want to lead a group," we can open registration back up. In fact,
Right.
there's actually 2 groups right now that are completely at capacity.
Wow.
But we have more that are interested in joining. And so if we have more people show up, what we'll do is we'll turn those 2 into 3.
Yeah.
So we can take some more kids in.
Yeah.
And so we're just, we're praying for more workers.
Yeah.
The harvest is plentiful.
The harvest is plentiful. That's
And so-
awesome. So if you've been on the fence about maybe being a leader, maybe you're going like, I don't know, they probably got you hear that a lot, right? We're a big church, so they got a lot of people that help out.
Yeah.
Well, the truth is many workers, right? Many
Right.
workers make
Yeah.
make the work happen. And so, man, we would love for you to let us know if you want to be a leader. Love for you to even, gosh, man, we'd love to be able to open the door to more kids.
We
For
would.
every one leader, how many kids could be added on to that? What's kind of the
So
ratio?
we do about 6 kids for every leader, 6
Wow.
to 7 kids for every single leader
Wow.
that we
So
have.
one leader saying yes could open the door for 6 kids to actually experience this amazing discipleship style ministry.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. So let us know. We'll put a link in there too to let you guys be able to do that.
And if you have questions, you can DM us. I would love to talk to you guys if you have any questions about what that looks like and the commitment level. And but it's powerful. So we have what's been really neat this year. I mean, this happens, but this year was cool just because we were starting last night and seeing we plugged in a few new leaders.
Okay.
That several years ago graduated Kids Corps.
Oh, that's
and they've now come back as high school students and they're leading groups.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And so they understand the value of. They've done it
absolutely.
themselves,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing they're pretty excited about
They
that.
are.
So what's the age then at which you can actually serve as a Kids Corps leader, and is it important that they've already done Kids Corps before themselves?
So as far as serving, we want you to be a high school student. We're gonna team you with an adult if you're a high school student.
Okay.
So we don't team 2 high school students
Right.
together. You don't have to have completed Kids Corps in the
Great.
past.
Okay.
Obviously, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
We want you to have gone through our core classes because Kids Corps essentially, when you look at the content that's being taught in Kids Corps, it's everything that's going out in 101, 201, 301, 401 of our core classes.
Adult core classes that we do. Okay.
In fact, to even serve in kids ministry, you have to have completed 101.
Okay. So a perfect case in it. We just did 101 last week, I believe. This next
and
Saturday
we got
is 201.
We have 2 people that were interested in plugging into Kids Corps from
Fantastic.
that. So it was
Fantastic. Fantastic. So maybe you've done 101 and you need to do one of the remaining. We have 201 happening on Saturday, and then the following Saturday 301, and then the following Saturday 401. So you could get them all done in the next couple weeks.
Yep.
And even become a leader. Is there like a time limit? Do the people need to become a leader soon? Do we need to kind of close the door on all of that
yes,
at some point?
So we really need to hear from people within the next week or so.
Okay.
Because what we do, because Kids Corps is about discipleship, but we can't split the relational fellowship aspect that happens from there. So what we do is after about a month, we close our groups.
Yeah.
And those are going to be the groups that travel together.
Right.
And those groups pretty much stick together, honestly, for the remainder of their elementary career and oftentimes all the way through high school.
Wow.
So what's happening and being developed right now really carries a very long time in the lives of kids. And
that's
so
like a catalyst for.
it is. It's huge.
Amazing.
Some of our leaders, most of our leaders travel 4 years with their kids in Kids Corps.
Right.
And some of them travel on and do junior high with
Right.
them and travel
Right.
on and do high school
Right.
with them.
Right.
And so, I mean, we all have a different shape. Some of
Yeah,
us
for
have
sure.
a niche
Right.
of those age demographics. But some, man, you just get so glued and you just care so deeply about your kids that you just want to
you want to
do
do
life.
Them. You've already
Yeah.
invested. You know them.
Absolutely.
They know you. You know how to communicate well.
Absolutely.
It's really good stuff.
You've prayed for them. You've suffered with them.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've walked it with them already, and you kind of want to see it all the way through. That's
Absolutely.
pretty amazing. We're gonna just wrap things up, but I want us to focus on kind of our fall outreach, which originally kind of started with we're thinking about trunk or treat and kind of how things were going to be different this year, and it is. It's not going to be the same. We know that. That's one of our biggest outreaches that we usually do. Thousands and thousands of people come on our campus. But what does our fall kind of outreach idea kind of look like this year?
Well, the point of our fall outreach and what we're doing is we're wanting to bless our community.
Yeah.
I mean, in years past, we've done trunk or treat where we invite everybody onto our campus to do some trick or treating,
Right.
Have some games, and it's just a way to say we care about you.
Yeah.
We see you and we care about you.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at doing that different with some of our COVID guidelines, and really we're trying to be safe.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited because we're using a different strategy. So our previous strategy was bring everybody here on our campus.
Right.
Okay. But
You
this
come to
strategy, right, is we're going to you.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is we can touch more people in a more significant way with that model.
Right.
Because if you figure we have maybe 3,000-ish, maybe 4,000 people that are coming here for trunk or treat,
Yeah.
man, if you take all of our households and we go outside and you look at all the people that come through and do trick or treating,
Right.
it's way more than that.
Right.
It's way more than that 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is a couple of aspects of this. The first thing is we're calling it Pumpkin Fest.
Okay,
right?
Pumpkin Fest.
And so
Love
what
it.
we're doing is we're giving families pumpkins.
Awesome.
This weekend, laying out about all over the place at church is going to be just pumpkins. And so the idea is go get a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love pumpkins,
Yeah.
right? You're going to carve your pumpkin. You're going to decorate with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to make pumpkin pie. I don't
Yeah.
know, right? But we love pumpkins, right? And so get a pumpkin.
Yeah.
If you've got 3 kids, get 3 pumpkins, you know? And then take another pumpkin or 2 or 3, because maybe there's some people in your neighborhood that you want to bless.
Yeah.
That you want to just say, I see you.
That's cool.
And I care about you.
That's cool.
Right? I see you and I care about you.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just give, hey, you know, my church was giving these away. Or maybe you don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to say, hey, I wanted to give you a pumpkin.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just something that is that simple, right? And we look at it as a way of again, telling people that we care about them.
Yeah.
But we also look at it as a way of opening doors.
Yeah.
Man, I've been praying for some of my neighbors for quite some time. Man, I'm busy just like everybody else. And,
Yeah.
you know, I get home and I pull in the garage and I go in and got to do dinner, you know,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
You know,
Totally.
that's most days.
Yeah. and
Most days.
most of us.
Right. You know, but sometimes I'm making an effort to go out and get to know my neighbors and talk to them and,
Yeah.
you know, hear their stories and
Yeah.
hear what's going on. It's kind of in a way, an awkward but an easy for me, because I'm like, hey, I'm a pastor. And they usually are like, ooh, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the time, that's the response.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right?
I bet.
But as I've gotten to know them, they share struggles.
Yeah.
My neighbor shared when
Yeah.
his brother-in-law passed away. You know, and you know, over time, it wasn't right away, but then he asked about the church and what we do.
Yeah.
And it's been this slow conversation that's happening.
Yeah.
And every couple of months, there's this new question that's significant.
Right.
Because he's thinking.
And you've made yourself approachable.
I have, right? And we started out by just, you know, small talk. There's
Yeah.
kind of a language barrier for some of my neighbors,
Yeah.
you know, but we work through that.
Yeah.
You know, but it all starts with these little things like
Yeah.
giving a pumpkin.
Yeah.
It
And I mean,
opens a door.
it's so simple, but you think about, like, if I think of the other end of that, I open the door and I've got someone one of my neighbors just saying, hey,
Yeah.
here's a pumpkin.
Right.
Like, just
Yeah.
hope that you're having a good day. Like,
Yeah.
happy fall to you. And it's just, there's a great love of humanity that's happening in the
Absolutely.
middle of all of that.
Absolutely.
And that's just so needed. People are so
Yeah.
hungry to
Right.
feel seen, to feel loved, to feel
Yeah.
known, and for it to come from your own
Yeah.
neighbor. It's not like somebody walking through that's not a part of the neighborhood and
Right.
trying to sell you anything, but it's just,
Yep.
just want to
Just-
give this to you.
It's huge. I've been the recipient of that. My neighbors across the street, they've delivered hot chocolate for my girls.
Oh,
And it's like,
so cool.
that
Yeah.
just blows
It
you away.
makes-
It just
yeah.
seems so generous. And
Yeah.
it opens my heart towards them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I've had a friend deliver a wreath one Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
So out
Yeah.
of the blue.
Yeah.
But again, that softens my heart. And in the
Somebody
same way,
thought about you.
right? When we can give a pumpkin to somebody,
Yeah.
it's so small,
Yeah.
but it can be
It can
so
mean so much.
significant.
So
Yeah.
just come if you can. If you
Yep.
can come Sunday.
Right. We'll have them available after the service. Just pick them up.
Right. So if you're maybe watching online,
Yep, come
you
on
can,
over.
You know, get the masks on.
Yep.
Take a little field trip out.
Absolutely. Come grab them.
Grab the pumpkins that you
We've
need.
got 1,000 pumpkins.
So just
okay?
while supplies last.
While supplies last.
Okay.
If we run out,
Go
go
a
buy an extra pumpkin.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
like,
there's
you
I
can-
don't know,
you
3 for
can-
$10, something like that. At
surely
nearby
there's
areas.
something
Yeah.
out there. You know,
Yeah.
we can do this. You know,
Yeah.
if you live out in Clovis and you're like, oh, it's not worth the drive
Yeah.
over there. That's
Yeah.
fine. Go buy a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Go bless your neighbors.
Yeah.
It's like catching this vision
Yeah.
of looking outside.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look
It's great.
at our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Invest in them. Man,
Yeah.
get God's vision
Yeah.
for your neighbors. See them as kids that he wants.
Yeah.
He's a dad who desperately wants a relationship
Yeah.
with that kid.
Yeah.
You are a potential sibling.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe they're going to be adopted into our
That's
family.
cool. You're a potential sibling.
And
Mhm.
so think about that, about your neighbors, and
Yeah.
treat them accordingly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the next step, we're calling it Blocktober.
Blocktober.
Right?
I love
and
it.
basically, it's go do like host trick or treating at your house.
okay.
In fact, the county has given recommended guidelines on doing this. It's like, hey, maybe don't stay in your house. Go set up a table and be outside.
Yeah. Your driveway or your
yes.
lawn or whatever.
And the reason I love being outside better than in the house
Yeah.
is it opens the door for conversation.
Yeah.
You get to sit there,
Yeah.
and instead of just a quick open the door and leave because
Yeah.
they're getting to the next place,
Yeah.
you see them coming, you see them cross the
Yeah.
street on the other side. It's just more chances
Yeah.
to get to know them. And
Yeah.
and I got to tell you guys, I'm an introvert person.
Yeah.
being with all of those people
Yeah.
at Halloween
Yeah.
is going to drain me. It's going to be exhausting. And it probably is true for
some, yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of people,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worth it. And
Yeah,
so what
small
we're
sacrifice in the larger picture of it.
absolutely. And so we're saying, hey, get outside.
Yeah.
What we're going to be doing is we're going to be, along with pumpkins too, we're going to have good news packets available,
great.
our Fresh Start with God packets available.
Right.
We're going to be handing out for Blocktober, thinking about ministering to your block this October. We're going to be handing out these little cards
Yeah.
that maybe what you want to do is when you're getting ready to set up your station for kids
Yeah.
coming around trick-or-treating,
Yeah.
buy the best candy you can and tape that card to the candy,
Okay.
because on that card is going to be an invitation to our online services.
Okay, great.
And so it's just kind of a
Great.
subtle way. But I'll tell you what, if you tape that card to a big old candy bar,
Yeah, like a full-size candy bar.
they're going to notice.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that I can swing full-size candy bars, right? But we're going to do what we can.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to take
For
our
sure.
candy game up a
Yeah,
notch this year.
yeah, yeah.
And so I hope everybody does. And they
just really, this one's just really encouraging you
Yeah.
to be intentional about
Yes.
how you're handing out candy, where you're doing that.
Yep.
Clearly, you know, if you need to wear a mask, by all means,
Yep.
do all the things
Wear a
necessary.
mask,
We want you to
wear,
wear a mask,
wear the
wear
gloves. Yep.
Yeah, but
don't
just-
let kids take out of a bowl.
Right,
You actually need to
right,
hand,
you
it to,
wanna hand it to
them.
them with
you know.
with the gloves on and
So
stuff.
those are that's what our county suggested.
And then our last one.
Yes, our last one, we're calling it Project 316.
Okay.
And our elder care has been working with our senior living communities
Yeah.
around here. We were working with 9 of them, they're telling us that they have about 1,000 people in those homes.
Okay.
Okay, and this is part of our community that honestly, man, they are being hit heavily by COVID, and it's because they're in these homes
Yeah.
and they have like zero access to outside.
Yeah.
People can't come in and visit.
I have a grandmother and yep. Mm-hmm.
So you hear that. A lot of
Oh,
these
yeah.
places, they don't even have the technology
Right.
to communicate
For sure.
outside.
Right.
And so we're talking about people that have been in isolation essentially for months.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. The shelter in place didn't stop.
It didn't.
It has continued through this whole time. Haven't been able to see a ton of
Yep.
family, if any at all.
Yep.
And so what we're doing is,
So what we're doing is we are asking our church to make these custom blessing cards.
Okay.
We have some that are designed for those of us that are going to write a note,
Okay.
and then we have some that are designed if we want to like color and decorate. Kids can put
Okay.
stickers on them and
Yeah.
things like that, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of have these two styles, and we're hoping that. Well, we're not hoping. We are going to.
Right.
We're going to put together 1,000 of these.
that's awesome.
And we want to make sure that every single person in our senior living communities gets one, because what we want to say is we see you,
yeah.
we care
You
about
matter.
you. Exactly. And though you may not be praying for them by name,
Right.
as you're filling this card out, you can be
Right.
praying for them,
Yes.
God's blessing upon
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And so that's what we're wanting to do.
Because that would just mean, I'm sure, the world to them.
Oh,
to
it's
get,
huge.
To get
Yep.
something.
Our elder care ministry says this is a big deal.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so our elder care ministry, they're going to be the ones
Yeah.
distributing
Yeah.
and handing them
Yeah.
out. And so we are working together. You know, one of the things that I want to talk to in this is a lot of times we think of these Halloween things as like kids events. And though they start as that because Halloween, really it's about the kids.
Yeah.
Right? But these things that we're talking about, the pumpkin, the
block party
block
type of-
party,
the
the
hand-
316 kind of a deal. Man, these are things for our whole church to get involved
Right.
in. And so much of these have aspects that are timeless, that are ageless. We don't discriminate to age.
Yeah.
And so we want
Yeah.
everybody. The idea is for Project 316, it's going to be like, don't take one card.
Right.
Take
a
two or
few.
three. Take
a few.
4.
Yeah. Take one for
right?
each family member. Maybe each one
Yep.
is writing
Right.
something or coloring. For the younger
Exactly.
ones, you've got maybe some specific things,
Yes.
and then just saying, hey, we're thinking about you. We're
Yes.
praying for
Yep.
you. We hope that you're doing well. And
Yeah.
that means the world.
Yep.
It means the world. And it's so easy to do.
It really is. I mean, it really is. And so
Yeah.
this is what we're doing. We're just, man, we've been in this 40 days of prayer campaign, and there's
Yeah.
all these things that we're praying for.
Yeah.
And so here
Yeah.
we're turning our attention
Yeah.
to the things that are on God's heart. And
Right.
man, he wants people. He longs for
Yeah.
people. Jesus died
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah,
People
yeah.
get to pick and choose whether they accept
Right.
that or not. They get to choose whether they're going to be adopted into the family or not.
Yeah.
But he wants everyone. And
Yeah.
don't we want our brothers and
Yeah.
sisters?
Yeah. I love
Right.
that we start off talking about kids, but that we're touching the lives of those in our senior living. It really just goes to show like just how important, no matter what stage of life you're in, and every single life is important. And we want to just be loving on and saying that to each other,
Yes.
doing that for each other.
Yes.
It's by our actions we're actually going out and proving to people that we do care, we are seeing you, we do want to hear ways to support you through prayer and stuff
Yes.
like that. This has been a great conversation. I'm seeing stuff drop in there. And I'm loving that some of you are even saying they want to be contacted about Kids Core. That's excited. We will definitely make sure that you're going to get the information you need. By all means, just love hearing from you guys. Love seeing your names drop in here. And we want to just take a moment, just at the very end right here, to just be praying for families. We know this year has been just so difficult. And we're about to head into, just the fall and holidays and all of that. We don't know what that's going to look like for people. They might be missing family members at their maybe not able to see them, or maybe those that have not made it through this time. But we just want to be praying. Want to take a moment to just be praying for you guys, and then we'll call this. But Travis, would you mind just kind of praying for
I would be so
families?
honored. I'd love to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
God, thanks for loving us. Thank you for never running out of mercy and never running out of grace and never running out of energy. Thank you for extending your love to thousands of generations, God. Thank you for your plan for the church and the way that you have designed us to depend upon you and draw from you and to live together. God, thank you so much for that. God, I can't help but think right now of the struggles that we've all got. We're moving to a season where COVID is shifting and changing everything. And so some of us are stressed because we don't know how we're going to pay for things. Some of us are stressed because we're working so much we just can't keep up with life because of the demands of our job. Some of us are just bored and twiddling our thumbs at home and want to do something. We're all in these different places. Some of us are lonely because we've been forced to be isolated and for our safety and the safety of others. And so where we're all at, we know that you see us and that you meet us there. Thank you for that, God. So I just ask your continued blessing on each person in our church, parents, siblings, grandparents. There's so many life stages, from young people to old people to in the middle, those that are at home, those that are at work. God, we just ask your blessing. Would you open our eyes to see you at work in our hearts? Would you open our eyes to see how you're calling us, how you want to use us, how you're inviting us into what you're doing and to meet the needs of those around us? God, I just pray collectively, God, those that are listening to this, we're saying, God, use us. We are yours. We are yours. And so we give today, we give these hours to you. Use our hands, use our hearts, use our minds. Use us to bless those around us, God. We want more of you. Show us more of you. We want to move in you, God. So we love you so dearly, God. May we never forget the reasons that we have to love you. And we just look forward to, this great adventure with you. Amen.
Amen. We're going to drop some links once this is over for certain things like Kids Core, and links to the YouTube and Instagram for kids and Facebook that we have for our MP Kids. Our prayer is that no matter where you're at, whatever you're experiencing in life, whatever season this looks like for you, I love that you said whether it's just been extremely busy because you've just been working so much because you're one of our essentials. Number one, we thank you. And we hope that no matter what it is that you're experiencing, you're able to find a way to engage in community with us, whether that's online. I would love to see you in the chat. Travis would love to see you in the chat, or whether that's here on campus because you are feeling comfortable enough to do that. We would love to see you, with your mask on and seeing those faces, those eyes. Underneath, I've been laughing. It really is just seeing eyes, and being able to come together as a unit in all seasons, no matter what level it is that you're feeling in comfort. So thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to hearing from Shane. We're hoping Shane next week should be great, as we're going to be talking about a new series and just kind of getting to know him a little bit more. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.